The next topic, I will...
Spoiler!
Yep, spoiler warning.
I am going to lead into this right here. So, we are going to be discussing the new Spider-Man movie. If you have not seen it, there will be spoilers for No Way Home.
Close your ears and go away.
If you are here and you haven't seen the movie yet, thanks for watching. I understand you're not going to want to continue. This is the last topic of the night. So, if you have that Prime sub available, feel free and use it. It does help out. Just basically going through
go see the movie.
Just
yeah,
going
seriously,
through the movie.
It was good.
I'm just going through all the end stuff, though, for them. So if you have that Prime sub, feel free to use it. But otherwise, we are going to be heavily discussing Spider-Man. So just a warning for you, there are spoilers. This is a very heavy spoiler topic. So I'm giving you plenty of time to get out of here. Otherwise, if you've seen the movie or you don't care about the spoilers, obviously feel free to hang out. We would love to have you here. But otherwise, we are going to get into heavy spoiler territory. And you can go back and watch this live, or not live, on our YouTube. You can watch this exact topic after you've seen the movie, which honestly, 10 out of 10 recommend go watch.
Oh, definitely.
We will start talking about spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Logan, what'd you think?
It was amazing. I think probably the best way we could go about it is just break down the movie, like go...
First off, let's start with
just
giving it a number out of
1 to 10.
That'd
be a good idea.
I would say 10. I think it's the
you
best.
Give it 10?
I think it is right up there for me with Endgame as being the best Marvel movie.
I think it was better than Endgame.
Well,
I think
Endgame was also incredibly good.
Yeah, Endgame was an emotional roller coaster.
It was, and I think Endgame had a few things in it that really kind of brought it down for me.
Yeah, Endgame was probably... It might get an 8 for me, Endgame. This is probably 9.5 for me.
Yeah, I'd say number 5. I don't want to give it a 10, but yeah.
I don't know if you can give a 10.
I don't give
really.
10s really.
The only one that's in contention with me is Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's honestly, these two are tied for my favorite Marvel movie right now.
Mine too. But what do you think, Weston?
I'm giving it about a 9.5 myself.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It honestly, like I said, I've seen it twice now. I went Thursday night with all of you guys, and then I went Friday night with my dad and my brother.
I've seen it twice as well.
Yep.
It was better the second time. And there's a few things that I wanted to like go look at because I wasn't sure if I caught it or like it just seemed like a weird... There's a couple areas where I'm like, that could be a plot hole. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to get it, but I feel like the whole point of the movie... and you guys can answer this because you're obviously going to know. I want to know what you guys think here.
Possibly.
Was to... basically what happens is they bring in people from other realities, which is other Spider-Mans and the villains, right? Mm-hmm. They discussed that they pulled the villains in the moment before they died.
Not necessarily.
They say that in the trailer, and
they even said it in the movie.
No, I thought so too, but then when me and Dan watched it the second time, they say that about Doc Ock and Green Goblin.
Yes.
They don't say that about Kurt Connors and then
or Sandman.
Sandman.
Okay, but those two
Electro
specifically.
says, "Dang, I was about to die."
Those two specifically. Then we can talk about it this way.
Yeah.
If he was, because Doc Ock drowned trying to like shut down his own machine, right?
Yep.
And Green Goblin was impaled by his own thing. So
glider. Yep.
What is stopping that from happening when they returned? Or
they didn't say it was at that right moment either. They just said, he died.
They said that the last thing I remember is I had him by the throat and then I was here.
Yeah, and that was the scene where he like talks him down, like gets him to
There's a
come
significant
back.
amount of time between him dying and that moment.
But wouldn't they remember that he was going down underwater with his machine?
No.
They don't even say that. They just say, I had him by the throat
remember
and
that.
then I was
that
here.
happens after.
Yep.
It does.
There's a long fight scene before all
They
that
have time.
happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
The part that he's talking about where he's got Spider-Man by the throat is like when Peter talks him down, like basically helps him switch the arms back to his control, like right before that scene. But no, he's not like in the water at that point. So there's still some time in there. And who knows? Maybe it changes the timeline so drastically too.
So do you think then what could happen is they were pulled out at that moment, and then he's like, okay, now I'm going to help Peter. Like, I'm going to bring this machine down because now I'm good. Do you think it was because of what they did in this movie?
No.
You don't think so?
That happened already anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a change. It's not going to be the same reality anymore.
No, I think I think it branches off those realities.
It's a branch.
You have to realize he already saved the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn. So at this point, it's already a different reality.
Yeah, because if you think
Going
about it,
back, that whole fight where he dies isn't going to happen.
yeah, exactly.
It's
so
not Green Goblin.
so
It was just
Spider-Man
Norman.
2 doesn't happen the way it did. Spider-Man 3 then doesn't happen the way it did because there's no Doc Ock or Green Goblin that happened before.
So they're pulled out of branches of the same reality.
Yeah.
So, because obviously at that point, then Sandman would not be there.
Yeah.
In the
when
way
they
that
go
he
back,
was
they're
there.
different
Yep.
realities.
So it basically it starts off with them in the normal, so like the Sam Raimi movies is how it takes place. But when they go back, it splits off the reality into this alternate timeline where they were saved and they were like depowered and
a
stuff.
branch reality, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Because I feel like there's just a few moments in that movie that I was like, okay, well, looking back on it now, it's just in my mind, I'm like, so where did they come from then? And like, how does that affect the movie from before?
no, it doesn't affect the movies from
It
before.
doesn't, no.
Because that's the
Okay.
normal reality. Because like if you look at Tobey Maguire, right? Like he talks about the events from all three movies of how they happened. Like he talks about how Harry, his best friend, about killed him, and then he died in his arms. Like that wouldn't have happened if Norman Osborn didn't get killed by the glider. Like that would have changed the whole reality of that situation. So it's still happened the way it did in the movies, but they basically made alternate timelines for those universes.
And there's infinite amount of those timelines, infinite amount of those universes.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
it's never ending. So
God, speaking of Tobey Maguire, I absolutely love that they had like the reference to his middle back problems. That was so funny to me. He's like, I have sort of a middle back thing from swinging, because if you don't know, they almost had to like get a different Spider-Man for Spider-Man 2 because he was having back issues before they started filming.
He had like some injury.
So he said, I want more money because of my back injuries, or or they were going to recast him.
Yeah.
And I love the fact
and there's the
that
meme from Spider-Man 2.
about his
my back.
Yeah, so I just think that's hilarious that they reference that.
I know.
And there was a few moments where they had the references to the older movies.
I like that a lot.
They did it quite a few times.
When Norman Osborn goes, I'm somewhat of a scientist
that
myself.
was really funny.
Which is exactly what he says.
Or the power of the sun.
In the palm of my hand. Yeah.
I was kind
They
of
did
bummed
lots of
though.
that
Like
stuff.
when we went the first night, people laughed and understood those. But then the second night we went, me and Dan, nobody understood those references. Like, oh, this is sad.
Well, do you think
not
it's because the
everyone's
second
seen
time
them
you
all or
went?
understands that.
Yeah. I mean, the second time you went, it was more high schoolers, you said, versus...
Yeah, high schoolers. And
So maybe the younger crowd just didn't...
yeah, which is sad because
You want to get up and let Ranger out?
He's out. You just need to close the door.
Oh, the door was open. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he shut the door when he came
Nope.
in. My bad. I can't see the door from this angle.
How dare you?
But yeah, I think
Failure.
let's talk about kind of the beginning of the movie, like, and then kind of
You
work
should
our
be.
way. I feel like we're just kind of jumping right to the Toby and Andrew stuff and like the final fight stuff. I think just the whole beginning is amazing. Like, I love how it's just a direct continuation from Far From Home.
Yep.
And how they just continue that whole scene.
It's
and
just setting the stage.
Yeah, and fun fact, one of my friends that I grew up with, she's actually in that scene.
Really?
She's one of the people that crowds him, right? When
Is
they,
she the
like-
one that yells, Spider-Man hit me?
No, that
Okay.
was...
Gosh.
We would not be friends. No, yeah, she's one of my childhood
An
friends,
extra
and
there.
she was an extra in that scene. So
That's awesome.
But that was so I didn't know that until she told me. But anyway, yeah, like the whole beginning plot of him trying to get into college, and then the whole thing with they can't because all these legal troubles they're in.
Yeah.
It's really setting the stage. It's
Yeah.
a prologue.
Which which goes into something I really want to talk about is Matt Murdock.
That was
The
great.
That was
Netflix
phenomenal.
Daredevil is now
Charlie Cox.
in
Well,
the MCU.
did you see the most recent Hawkeye
Yes.
episode?
Yep.
Mhm.
At the very tail end?
Yeah. So like
What one was he?
he's the lawyer.
Okay.
The
I'm a
really good
very
lawyer. He's a very good
How
lawyer.
did you do that?
So he's
I'm a really good
so-
lawyer.
so he's Daredevil in the comics. He's a blind superhero.
Okay, I guess
that
I did
has,
not
like-
know that.
He's
Yeah,
the
he's-
same.
Uh-huh.
There's the Netflix Daredevil
Yeah.
series, and he's
Okay.
the same Daredevil.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
because during the movie when we were at the theater, Logan was sitting next to me, and when he popped up, he goes, "No way, that's awesome!" And I'm like, "Who
Yeah.
the heck is that?" You
Yeah.
know, I had no idea.
Yeah. So
Which that doesn't necessarily make Daredevil
Well,
series canon.
I think it does because of the last Hawkeye episode. Once you watch it, I think it pretty much.
Have you seen it?
It's Kingpin. I
Yeah.
understand. No, you always guessed that. I
Yeah.
guessed it a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't mean the series is canon, though.
Yeah.
There's infinite amounts of universes. You know this, right? So they can
Yeah.
retcon whatever they want to make it work with the MCU. Is
Yeah.
what I'm
I just
saying.
feel like the way the the way the whole first season of Daredevil is. I've started watching it. I never really finished it. I watched a few episodes when it first came out, but I never got that far
great.
into it. but I'm really loving it so far. But the whole like first season is basically the whole plot is around Battle of New York, because it's like that's how Kingpin got into power, and like he used that that event to kind of gain the status he does, and that's how
gain more foothold.
Yeah, and so. And they reference it a lot. Like, they reference the Battle of New York a lot. There's, like, newspapers. There's, a whole bunch of things that say it. And I think there's nothing that, I've heard or seen from the even future seasons that contradict the MCU. So I feel like if they're just going to get the same actors, why not just make it
The thing is, if that's canon, though, the rest of the shows are canon, too. And I don't know if they're going to use that.
Yeah, I've heard.
Could they just make an exception for one show though and be like, so this one is canon?
They're probably not, because
they all intertwine.
There was a Defenders series.
Yeah, Defenders.
Okay,
I haven't found all of them together.
So have you seen all of them? Because I've heard the only really bad one is Iron Fist.
I haven't watched the second season. I heard the second season is actually way better than the first one.
It was better, but it wasn't great.
But I've heard the other ones are good. I've watched Punisher. That's good.
Punisher's really good.
Yeah,
Punisher's phenomenal.
Daredevil's the best. I think Punisher's second best. The first season of Luke Cage was pretty good. The first season of Jessica Jones was actually phenomenal.
It really was.
That's probably tied with Punisher, honestly, because David Tennant as the Purple Man is fantastic.
David Tennant.
Watch that one.
So tying this back into Spider-Man though, because I don't want us to get, because we're already I know we're gonna be talking about this for a while.
They all have to do with each other. All those characters.
No,
so.
But just like I thought that was really cool, and like just to show how crazy this movie is, like. That after the movie, like I was thinking about all the crazy stuff and like really trying to talk with people about it, and that was a crazy moment in itself. Like Daredevil's in the MCU now, and it's just so much more crazy things that I just didn't even think about it, and it didn't hit me the next day at school when I was talking to Trevor. It's like, yeah, Daredevil's in the MCU now. Like that's crazy. It just goes to show like how big this movie is and how many things it does.
Yeah,
very well, like
very well.
perfectly. To be honest,
I saw someone say that this movie is just an appetizer for what's to come in the next Doctor Strange movie as well.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it definitely plays into that. I think
I wouldn't call it an appetizer.
Yeah,
well, no,
that
is what
in of itself.
Well, no, that's what somebody called it. Like one of the people working on the new Doctor Strange movie said this movie. Like if you think
I think
this
I get
is
what
good,
they mean.
Yeah, it's a beginning
They were like,
part.
you think this is good? It's just an appetizer, like the pregame meal. Before
and I also think they mean like the whole
come.
multiverse stuff. Like this is a
that's
very
what they mean.
small taste of the multiverse.
Tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
which
so,
I
get that.
I'm so excited though. Like there's so many things about this movie that, even not being a huge Marvel nerd like you guys all are, I still understood a lot of what was going on, and I loved it. Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
There were so many moments where I was like, okay, that is hilarious. Like, the humor was perfect. Like, it's my sense of humor. It's just like the kind of like this like stupid one-liners. Like when Aunt May was talking to Doc Ock, she's like, "Are you thirsty?"
That was really funny.
Okay, do you want fresh or salt water? Because you're an octopus.
Like that was really
funny. Me, that was hilarious.
That was really funny.
I died laughing in the
theater.
What
I love though, like that was, there's some great humorous parts in the movie, but they didn't go overboard.
No,
yeah,
the humor,
they didn't go overboard. Yeah,
which
you're right.
I think a lot of Marvel movies, especially the ones where there's lots of people intertwined, tend to do.
They try to
they go overboard.
Yeah.
There was a seriousness to this movie that was fantastic.
Well, it was kind of the origin of Spider-Man. Like, I know we've had Spider-Man
it's
now.
It's a true origin.
It's a true origin. Like,
for the Spider-Man that we know.
Yeah, it's the first movie where he's, like, actually has a heart. Like, he actually has, I mean, obviously Iron Man was a big part of his life, but, like...
Yeah.
The Aunt May, like, that's his Uncle Ben. Which I thought was really cool or interesting because...
It's a good take.
I always had assumed, like... Because I felt like they've referenced Uncle Ben before. And... Like, not as directly said.
This one, have they?
But I thought they had, like, a line. And
I don't know if they ever say Uncle Ben.
I don't think they ever did.
I think they talk about maybe an uncle.
Yeah.
They don't say Ben, and they don't go any further, I don't think.
But I just thought that was interesting how they just kind of completely throw that idea out the window. Be like, oh, no, he's, like, basically never existed. Like, it's Aunt May now. And that's the only one.
Which is
fine
by me because
I don't
in the
mind
original comic, it wasn't actually Uncle Ben who said that line anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
So...
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine by me, as long as they do it tastefully. They did very tastefully.
And another thing I think they did really well is the Doctor Strange stuff. Like, he wasn't in it a ton. Like, he was in it.
He was a pivotal character, but not a main character.
And
he was a setup character.
Yeah.
He was.
Yep. And I love how they did that whole, dynamic between the two of them of like.
That was good, yeah.
One of my favorite parts, though, is when, like, at the Statue of Liberty and Strange comes back. He's like, I've been dangling over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. And Andrew
could have
Garfield
used your help.
He goes, you went to the Grand Canyon? We could have used your help. Like,
dude, Andrew Garfield,
dude, he was so funny.
They redeemed that Spider-Man so much for me.
I don't even like his humor was cool. I didn't care, but my part, like his emotional scenes, his serious scenes,
yes,
like when he saved MJ,
good,
saving
so
MJ,
good,
and like
he
thinking back,
did
like
a
I
phenomenal job.
Yeah, he did,
and they definitely they played off obviously the Amazing Spider-Man series, just kind of number 3, right? They played off that a lot, and it worked. But he did so good in that movie.
I was gonna say, I love
Spider-Man 3, when Peter 3.
Yeah, when he goes, I'm lame compared to you guys, and Tobey Maguire goes,
you're
no, you're amazing. No, I'm lame. No, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
You are amazing.
I need to hear that.
I just felt some guy in a rhinoceros machine.
Some Russian guy riding around in a rhinoceros machine. Like, I'm lame compared to you guys. No, you're amazing. Dude, that was so funny. And
the dynamic between the 3 was really good.
I love the scene where they're making the cures and just in the lab and
I love how
I
love how it really emphasized how genius they all are.
Oh yeah.
How Peter Parker is a literal genius. It's great.
Yeah.
But they each played their part. How they were different kind of Peter Parkers and different kind of Spider-Man in their each way, and they each played that part. Like Tobey really brought the I'm the experienced one who's been around the block.
Yes.
Okay, I can bring that, but he still had the same feel as from the Sam Raimi trilogy. He had that feel.
20 years ago, the first one came out in 2001,
quite a while,
right?
2002.
Was it 2001 or 2?
2002.
But he even his dialogue and just the way he talked, it was the same.
Yes.
And I like that. I appreciate that. Was great.
Yep.
The same with Andrew. He had the same stuff, the same kind of witty, remarks and stuff.
Yeah.
And played off of how he was in the Sony trilogy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's the younger than Tobey, but still been around a little bit more than Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he had that experience too, and he had the really he's still getting over his loss while Tobey has been okay for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
And that helped with Tom's loss.
Yeah.
So they just did a super good job with that.
See, one of my big regrets is that I never actually saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You're not missing out.
Well, I wish I would have seen it going into this one though. I feel like it's a movie that I wish I saw before I saw this.
Would have helped with the whole Electro thing.
Yeah, because Electro and the wasn't there another villain from that too, or was it just
Green Goblin? That was just terrible.
That one he wasn't in this movie though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the whole Electro situation, I've never seen that villain. I saw the first one at the drive-in theater here, but
I actually liked the first one.
I really enjoyed it, which is why when everyone's talking about how
the
wizard
wizard looked a little different, but
I wish he had the snout, but because he kind of looks like a Goomba from the Mario movie.
Right.
Not gonna lie.
Right. But
I love when he's like, "Did you get a makeover? I can give you a makeover."
I felt like the model they used for the movie for him, he looked different. He looked a bit better to me. Obviously he didn't have the snout, but I felt like they narrowed his face a bit more, and I feel like they changed his eye color too.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember him all that much in that first one though, which is really really weird.
Yeah, he's the main villain, so
yeah.
Oh, I know, but I just for whatever reason in my mind, I wasn't like, oh, that's the main villain from that one.
Yeah.
But I don't know why.
I loved they really did especially the 3 villains justice, but all of them they really did the villains justice.
Yeah. Yep.
They changed Electro completely and it worked. It was
really
good.
Well.
Mm-hmm. And they mentioned that in the movie too. The last time I saw you had glasses and a comb over.
They made it work.
You
They explained it through the new energy and stuff of the different universe. Which,
yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, they made it work.
They made it more comic accurate, which is great. Doc Ock was fantastic.
Yes.
Green Goblin stole the show for me.
I was gonna say, I think that William Dafoe was one of the best characters in the whole
portrayal
movie.
of the character.
I loved it because Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, is the arch nemesis. He is the #1 villain for Spider-Man, and I love how they made that.
Yeah.
In that movie,
he
was
the main villain. Yeah.
He's so evil. Goblin is evil, and I love how they played off of that.
Yeah.
And they added a brutality to it, which was just phenomenal.
What was the line?
Fight scenes? Wow.
What was
so
the line
good.
that he had? He's like, when you're a god, you don't have to choose.
Yeah.
You just take. And that's when when everything just turned.
Which I love that scene because I love the whole, they're making the cures And then Peter just like gets hit with this overwhelming spider sense, like probably the most he's ever had.
Yeah.
He's trying to narrow down who it is.
He's looking at every person.
And I love the shot, like the camera work in that scene is amazing. Like it's just on his face, and he's walking around.
But it's like shaky a little bit too.
Like what's going on?
It's a serious moment that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I just love his whole, thought process and everything. Norman, obviously, his fight scenes. Holy crap! Like when he suplexes Spider-Man through like 4 floors, like that is amazing.
That was awesome.
That whole fight scene is so cool.
It's really good.
Like I love that brutality, but like the whole, you are the power of a god. Like, you have the power of a god, but you're so weak. You won't use it. You won't take it. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to take away. It's so Green Goblin. I love it. I'm going to take away the one thing that is stopping you.
Yeah.
And obviously he kills Aunt May.
They did a really good job, I think. They showed. I don't want to say
so
weak.
Good. Yeah.
Like I don't want to say they made Spider-Man weak for the first fight, but he obviously between the first fight with the Green Goblin and then the second one, there was that switch got flipped.
He's not resolute,
and he's not holding back, which was so cool. To see
which
in
I
the
love
second one.
because I love that part where Goblin's like kind of beaten down a little bit in that final fight, and he goes, "You don't have the strength to kill. You won't have this, or you're too weak, and you're gonna try to cure me, or something like that." And then Peter
he says you're
I
too
just
afraid.
Kill you.
Well, no, that's
what he said was you're too weak to send me back to die.
Yes,
and he said no because I want to kill you myself.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
That was
and I love
such a
how
great
Toby
moment.
steps in.
Yeah.
And like that's like the perfect moment. Like for that, I mean, it makes sense why Toby's the one to step in. Like obviously Andrew
been
and Toby,
there.
but he's been there.
He has that experience. When he
and he's conquered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew hasn't conquered it yet. He even mentioned that, or he's just
he stopped pulling his punches
of doing it. But
yeah,
that's why the experience, Spider-Man. I love that, the old Spider-Man. And he saves him from becoming someone he's not.
Yeah.
The polar opposite of who quintessentially
Spider-Man
is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I just love that whole. He's prodding him. He knows he's okay with dying if it breaks him.
Yep. Exactly.
Green Goblin. It's like. What's he say? Oh yeah, I took away your one, hold up or whatever. You're welcome. Like
yeah.
He says that to him after he kills Aunt May. Like that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Which I had that part spoiled for me, which breaks my heart. The Aunt May death.
I kind of knew it.
Well,
I figured that might happen.
Well, all right. So everyone kind of figured it might happen, but how it happened and stuff. Because here's what was going on. I was streaming Minecraft, and someone came in with a Twitch account named Green Goblin Kills Aunt May. And they followed, so that popped up on my screen, and I was like, "That was Wednesday. We saw it Thursday. That was the day before. Someone had that part ruined for me, and I was like, okay, well that's like the most emotional death. Like that's gonna be the most emotional part of the movie, and now I know it's coming. So I'm sitting in the theater.
It's what's needed.
And
Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man.
Well, no, it is, but I'm just saying the part, like the fact that it was ruined for me in that way, like because they made her. When she died, they played it off as like, okay, she's fine when she stood up, right?
Yeah, I like how they did that.
They were fine. Like they made it seem like she was fine.
You could tell
she
wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, like
you could tell, but just knowing like, okay, she's not fine. She's going to die here.
Yeah,
kind of ruined that part a little bit.
See,
when it all started going down and she was actually in the apartment, I'm like, all right, she's gonna die, and then it just solidified it when I saw the glider come down. I'm like, all right, she's done.
Yeah. See, I thought that's the same way I thought, and then she stands up and they're talking for a bit. It's like, oh, maybe she's
you can tell she's gone.
And then she just drops down. And it's like, oh, so she is going to die.
Yeah, it was great. They did it really well. That is needed completely for Spider-Man to become Spider-Man. And she drops the biggest line that's needed too. His mantra for all time after that,
Yeah.
But he really becomes Spider-Man. And I knew they were going to do like the one more day type thing where they really erase the memories of everyone he cares about. No, everyone forgets him,
Yeah.
And I knew that he wasn't going to tell her.
Yeah.
Because he is Spider-Man and he loves her and he's going to protect her.
Yep.
The best way he can. That means taking himself out of the equation because he gets her hurt. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. So good. And him being on his own, got to make that rent, sacrificing Peter Parker, which is Spider-Man, the essence of Spider-Man, sacrificing his human side.
Help me out here.
To be the hero.
That apartment that he had, that wasn't the same apartment in the first film.
It wasn't.
It just looked like it.
I wish.
It looked like a little
looked
bit.
Very
it wasn't.
similar.
It's just a crabby apartment in New York.
Yeah, but it looked very, very similar to that. I thought it was at first, but then the second time I saw it, I'm like, no, maybe it's not. But
that'd be so great that they brought him back.
Right, that'd be hilarious.
And he's like,
well, didn't
we
they?
didn't.
Wasn't his voice in the background when they said Rensu
I don't
on the
think
third?
it was him.
It
No,
sounded
I don't
like
think it was
him.
I don't think it was.
Okay, I thought it was.
I think that was kind of just an Easter egg throwback. Though.
I thought that was his voice.
Yeah,
in
and
the
I just
background.
love that whole ending scene too, where he's like becoming like the classic Spider-Man, where he's on his own. He makes the suit. You see the sewing machine. Like it's not. It's no longer this Stark Tech suit. Like it's just classic
becoming
Spider-Man.
the street level hero that everyone needs, that gets crapped on by the Daily Bugle.
Yep.
But it's just he is pure self-sacrifice. And I love it. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
So I do have a question, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. So obviously, Spider-Man has always existed. Like that didn't change. But Peter Parker is basically wiped from reality.
Yep.
So would the relationship between Peter and Doctor Strange change much if he just told him, "Yeah, I'm Peter Parker"? Because I feel like he knows more Spider-Man than he does Peter Parker.
Yeah, I don't
think
they
it would fought
change
together.
all that much.
I don't know. Like they did get to know each other.
Yeah, not much. I
Like-
mean,
But that was also
He knows
more
him.
as Spider-Man.
No, not really. Like throughout even Infinity War and like Endgame
I
and
guess
stuff.
yeah.
Like
It was mostly-
even like you see it in his conversation, like when he's like, "I still forget. I'm sorry. Like you're just a kid." Like
Yeah.
he knows him as the kid.
That's true. That's true.
Or Stark's, calls him the kid too. He knows him
Yeah.
as the kid, not as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So now he would know him as Spider-Man, and then it might be a shock saying,
You're just a kid.
You are a kid,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And then you'd have to get to know him. So it
Yeah.
would shift dynamics just a little bit.
I'm just really like excited for Spider-Man 4 when it comes out. So see like the dynamic between characters, like or like I think I've seen that they've confirmed that he's going to be in another MCU movie before Spider-Man 4, which probably.
Who's Spider-Man?
Yeah. So
I haven't seen
makes
that, but
sense.
that wouldn't. surprise
Well, I
me.
mean, all right. So here's the thing: do you think it would be like, since they obviously at the end, like the post-credit scene, they had the symbiote for Venom.
Yeah.
Do you think the Venom's going to have his own standalone movie where Spider-Man's going to be in it, or do you think he's the villain in the next movie?
I think he's in
He'll
the
be a
villain
villain next one.
And I don't
Okay.
think Sony's going to let them do a solo Spider-Man movie or Venom movie.
No,
I think that's
they won't. And I'm so glad they did how they
Dude,
did.
that was
Like,
so good.
like
I loved
don't,
it.
Like I was talking to you earlier. Like I like Tom. I love Tom Hardy. Actually, I don't like Sony with their writers. They're
No,
not good.
I don't blame you.
I enjoyed the first Venom movie. I didn't like the second one at all. And I'm glad that it's not the same Venom, because that character just doesn't fit written wise into the MCU.
So, do you think that the Venom's going to be Flash Thompson then?
I hope not. I absolutely hope not.
No.
I actually think that they...
Because I honestly think, well, the thing is, though, I feel like they're going to have the same issue that they did with Spider-Man 3. Like, he's not this... He's kind of just this jerk version of Peter Parker. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't...
He doesn't fit the
and
character
he's also
at all.
not... Yeah, he's also not the character.
I think it's going to be Eddie Brock.
And honestly, too, like...
Isn't that who it was in...
That's... Well, yeah,
The
but
original?
they could have an Eddie Brock in MCU.
It's
like,
going to be an Eddie Brock.
I think...
Because Flash doesn't become Venom for a long
Yeah,
time
that's the
after.
thing, too. Like, he becomes... They're like adults way into this, and like he was a soldier.
He's a veteran who
and
loses his legs in Afghanistan.
And then he becomes Agent Venom.
Yeah, he
like,
becomes Agent Venom.
I mean, couldn't they just still make it work in the MCU, though?
Nah, I don't think with this Flash. I think if they did, they'd have to wait a while to like develop the character.
He's
got to
grow up
him
and be different and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
He has to actually mature.
But I think they're setting up for an Eddie Brock thing, because I think...
I hope so. I like Eddie Brock more.
Obviously, like, one thing I noticed in the movie is they're building up to Daily Bugle. Like, it starts off and it's just in his apartment and this crappy green screen and like all this stuff. Well, then it goes into the studio, and then there's a few camera people with him, and then at the end there's a ton of people in the studio with him. Like, it's showing this progression in this company. And I think the next movie they're gonna look for like photographers or something to get pictures of Spider-Man.
That makes
sense.
sense.
I think that's how Eddie Brock is gonna get introduced, and then Peter's gonna need a job because he needs to pay rent. And
that would make sense.
And he knows, well, I'm Spider-Man, so I can get pictures of myself, right? Like the whole classic thing.
Yeah.
And
do you think they would rehash the story of the original trilogy that much, though?
Well, I mean, that's just Venom's origin, or that's the story of Venom and like Spider-Man. Like that's
partially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like it didn't come from the same.
Well, no, but I feel like a lot of people would be.
I think it's been long enough for those movies, and
well,
the
it depends on how they tell it.
They can do it,
and I don't think they're gonna rehash it either.
Same source material, you know.
Yeah.
Because if you stop and think, a lot of movies are actually the same base story. It's just they're told a different way.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they're going to do it.
And I think the MCU doesn't fit the Raimi thing anyway. So like, even if they did do the exact same thing, where it's like they're rival photographers, and then Peter exposes them like for doing fake photos. Like if they did it that route, it'd still feel a lot different.
Yeah, I'm really kind of confused though, because I don't know. I guess how many more Spider-Man movies do you think they're planning on?
So they confirmed another trilogy.
Did they confirm 3 more?
3
Yep,
confirmed.
Sony confirmed a trilogy.
Okay, I guess I didn't see that they confirmed 3 more. So
Yep.
Sony, just stop.
Yeah, they're kind of screwing
Stop.
Marvel right now, but
Stop and let Marvel do your stuff.
I'm happy they're doing another trilogy. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Do you think it's gonna be Tom Holland all the way through though, or are they gonna?
Yeah, I think so.
I would imagine so.
I also saw something today. I don't know how true this is, but that Sony executives are talking about doing an Andrew Garfield project and like maybe
that was
doing.
trending on Twitter today.
I don't think any of
Amazing
that's true. I
Spider-Man
know
3 was
like
trending.
some fans are like people say, oh, fans really want Amazing Spider-Man 3 to come back and just happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
I would
don't know.
love that. I would love it.
I don't want that. I don't want Amazing Spider-Man 3. I want another Andrew Garfield movie, but not because what they had for Amazing Spider-Man 3 was terrible.
Like, doesn't mean they can.
it was
I mean, they can
Sinister
change it
Well,
now though.
Sinister 6, but also the guy who played Captain Stacy was talking about is an interview. I think right when 2 came out or something.
Dennis
How
Leary.
like they had plans for 2 or they had plans for 3 to like bring him back because there's this like genetic thing that Oscorp had that can bring people back from the dead, and that's he was gonna bring Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy back, and it was gonna be like this crazy like almost like spider clone thing too.
So Clone Saga.
Clone Saga.
It'd be the Jackal then.
And so
The Jackal does bring all of them back as clones,
yeah, and so
and that causes
I
lots
feel-
of issues.
I feel like that would not have been great,
You
especially
can't do that in one movie. Like a Clone Saga movie would be so ridiculous.
yeah.
Like
That needs to be, like,
that
2 or
era
3.
of comics is like really highly controversial because it's.
Yeah. Do you think they'd ever do Clone Saga? Because I know a lot of people don't like it from what I've heard. Like they think it's really terrible.
I don't know. Like, it could, the way in comics it happens. No, absolutely not. But they could introduce like really cool characters. Like Ben Reilly's sick.
Ben Reilly's sweet.
Kane is sick.
Mm-hmm.
If they do like Spider Side as a villain or something, that'd be really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they just they do a Spider-Verse movie
Yeah.
more than that happening, And they
I
could just
do like how
introduce
they
like
reference
Kane
that, too.
and they could introduce Kane and Ben Reilly and all those other characters. But
I love how they
That'd be cool.
mentioned or reference the multiverse or what was it, the Spider-Verse movie with Miles Morales. I love how they brought that up just a little, when Electro was
what
like,
he said.
I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there
Yeah.
somewhere.
That was really funny.
That I was like, okay, like that's a good little touch, I think.
I mean, Miles Morales has been confirmed since Homecoming in the
Yeah.
MCU.
Yep. He isn't.
He's just not Spider-Man yet.
Not yet. Which maybe Spider-Man 5.
I don't know.
I think you got to have one movie where
It'll be a
he's-
standalone,
yeah.
which
But
would be cool.
yeah.
I like Miles Morales
I think
a
it'd
lot.
be sick to see Miles in MCU.
I mean, I'd love honestly, a Spider-Gwen movie would be sick.
That'd be sweet
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I love that character. It's when Gwen Stacy becomes Spider-Woman instead.
yeah, I actually saw a thing today.
And she has like
that,
the sickest costume.
Hers is pretty sick.
I saw a thing today where it was like Tom Holland says that he would be open.
Yeah,
or
he wants a Miles Morales or a Spider-Gwen.
He thinks
Yeah.
that like a Spider-Gwen would be like that's what
or
they
a
need.
Spider-Woman
right
in
now.
general.
Yeah,
He wants new stuff happening.
Yeah,
I'm all for
I
that
think
too.
Miles
said
Morales
that in
would
an
work
interview.
really well in the MCU.
It's
like-
gonna happen.
Because I think
It will absolutely.
they're
happen.
aging Peter Parker up. He's out of high school now, and maybe he'll go on to college in the next one. I don't know. We'll
He's
see.
getting his GED.
I don't think that they would have him go to college now after.
Well, I know he goes. He canonically doesn't he go to Empire State, or is that
He goes to Empire State University.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
But he doesn't finish, I don't think. He never gets his degree or anything, and that's one of the things that happens during Superior Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back to college and gets his doctorate.
Yeah, because I can't see how they would make it work though in the MCU now that he's on his own. He's gonna have to pay rent
because
and
he
go to college and
sacrifices.
everything. Like I
Instead of
I can't
making
see
it to
that
class
happening.
And making
Well, I mean,
rent
they
and
did
making
it-
a job
they
and
did it
relationship,
really
I think
well
he
with Spider-Man 2.
sacrifices everything to be Spider-Man instead of Peter Parker.
They did it really well with Spider-Man 2. Like, he's he gets the web block because there's so much going on and he doesn't.
Existential.
Yeah, existential. Like he goes to college and he's falling behind in his classes because Kirk Connors talks to him. He's like, hey, like you're struggling.
That's Peter Parker.
Yeah, so.
That's Spider-Man. He sacrifices his own personal human life.
But yeah, like I think
Struggles with that to, do what he needs to do.
they're setting up to be like Miles' work because I think you have to have a decent age gap between Miles and Peter. Like,
Yeah.
you have to have that
He's
kind
gotta
of
be the more
mentor-mentee
experienced.
relationship. And
I like what 10 or 15 years at least.
Not that. I don't say that long. I think at least.
I would say that long.
You think so long?
I would actually
10 to
agree.
15. I say at least 6.
I think
Spider-Man is super established.
Yeah.
Before Miles happens.
Yeah.
Miles is the young kid, and Peter is the hero that he should be.
Well, because I'm even thinking back to like the PS4 game. Because how old is Spider-Man in that? About like maybe 25.
He's in college.
He's in college.
Okay, so early 20s, and then and Miles Morales and
Peter is older than that. Yeah, Peter's in his getting to maybe being 30, but so it's 10 years probably. I'd say 10 years.
Because I'm more thinking just in that.
But I could see the MCU doing a little bit smaller time. Like
they might,
even if it's like okay, Peter is like 2021, and then Miles is a freshman in high school. Like I think that would work, or it could work. Because I think there's a good enough dynamic.
You think just 4 years would be enough though?
It's
I think it's got to be more than that.
It has to be
I'd
more
have to
than
say
4
get a
years.
bigger gap.
It's 6 years.
There has to be that I can teach you things, a mentor type thing going on. There has to be.
Yeah.
Or else I think it doesn't kind of feel right.
Yeah.
But no, you know what I'm really interested in? This is kind of just out of the blue, but relationship between Spider-Man and Fantastic Four.
Yes.
That'd be interesting as well.
That is a good one.
And they I feel like they kind of confirmed like the Baxter Building is who bought it.
They didn't confirm anything, but
Well, because I think the two
it's a good
prevalent
theory.
the two prevalent like ideas were Oscorp and the Baxter Building, and then Norman says how there's no Oscorp in this world, so it kind of deconfirms that one. And I think they are setting up for it to be the Baxter Building. Like they haven't showed it yet.
I think it could be Roxxon.
You think so?
Yeah.
It could be. Before we end, because I mean we've been talking about this now for almost 40 minutes. There's one more thing I want to touch up on with you guys about this movie, and that is obviously Doctor Strange was shocked at Ned being able to open portals. So what are they going to do with that now that they confirm that he's magic? What are they going to be doing with that?
I don't think they're going to do anything. Honestly, I think it was meant to be
much. I think it's just kind of.
You think it was just like a one-off thing?
Yeah,
like hey, it was
thing,
funny for this, like just kind of convenient for this one movie. Then, or are they going to have him
added
do
something
anything
to the Ned Leeds character?
Yeah, I think
it
it
made
was
him relevant for the movie.
Yeah,
if they didn't do anything, there's no point really of him being there. He's the guy in the chair, but he also has MJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just
partially that spot.
I think it'd be really weird if they were like, "Hey, yeah, you're actually magic, but we're not going to touch up on it anymore after this."
Yeah, I think
that seems like it's too big of a detail.
They might a little
to
bit
not do anything.
But you also
got to
think there's just magicians in the world. Like, just watching Doctor Strange, like that one guy uses magic just to walk, and then Mordo takes it away. But like, there's people that have magic abilities; they just don't use them like superpowers, right?
Yeah.
And then would they even remember any of that when they forgot who Peter Parker is?
Well, Doctor Strange would know
He probably would.
That's interesting.
He would know Ned.
I think he still would have helped.
They still remember that stuff.
Yeah, they just don't know
who. They just know Spider-Man, though, not Peter Parker.
So he remembers that he's Spider-Man's guy in the chair then?
Or at least at that point in the movie, he was there and helped.
He was there during the Statue of
Liberty. I'm just trying to piece together you guys' understanding of how you think this is going to play out.
That's something I don't understand quite yet either. I think
it's
Spider-Man,
not fleshed out.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man 4.
Trying to get your guys'
I think Spider-Man 4 will, or whatever the next Spider-Man cameo is, or whatever. I think they'll probably touch on that a bit. But I was very interested because Ned has been a huge part of Spider-Man's obviously he's Peter's best friend, but like he's also been very integral to Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So like, does he just help Spider-Man and not know who he is? I'm guessing that's what they're doing.
Probably. That's what my guess would be.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways.
Or if it was just a one-off thing, who knows?
Yeah.
That established relationship's not there anymore, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's almost too big of a detail, I guess, in my mind. And especially with how Doctor Strange was that impressed that he's like, did you just open up a portal?
Like, he just looked surprised.
Well,
I
feel like they might do something else with that. I don't know. It's one of those things where I could see it going either way, but I think it's odd that they would do that and make it such a pivotal part of the movie and then never touch on it.
I think they had that line where Doctor Strange is like, oh, interesting. Like, because if you watch the first Doctor Strange, it takes him forever to use a sling ring.
Right.
So, like, I think it was supposed to be kind of like keeping it so it's like, okay, it's not like super easy to do. Like, this isn't just because obviously that would kind of retcon what happened in Doctor Strange. But it just shows like, okay, well, he's got the ability to do these things. So he's got this magic talent, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go anywhere.
Which I love in the beginning of the movie, or not the beginning, but like when Ned first meets Doctor Strange, he's like, "Hey, how do you know if you're magic?" Because I've heard it runs in my family, and sometimes I get this tingling in my fingers. He goes to go see a physician. Like that was funny to me. And then when they were actually like, "Oh yeah, by the way, he is magic," like I was just kind of like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
like that. Like I said, I feel like it's too big of a detail to have in this movie to never touch on. So I think
it was just making him relevant for the movie. To be honest, like. He's not going to become a hobgoblin. So
no, and I think also it's like kind of like you said, like keep him relevant because MJ is kind of taking the guy in the chair slot, like you said. Like she's kind of closer to Peter now, and they show that in the movie, like how they're kind of hanging out on the top of the roof by themselves, and then he comes up and they're like, "All right, we're gonna do this together," and then he's like, they're holding hands.
Well, it was a shift because it was Ned and Peter in Homecoming.
Yep.
In Far From Home, it was kind of a shift from Ned to MJ.
Now it's
MJ and Peter, and Ned's kind of still the best friend, but he's just there.
You know what I kind of want to see though is because they did have this one line. I think it'd be kind of funny later on. Is let's say Ned, remembers that he's magic or whatever, right? But he doesn't remember Peter. He doesn't remember he's friends with him. So what's stopping them from in a few movies having Ned become a villain? Just to go back and he's like, "Don't worry, just hold on." Where he says, "Don't worry, I won't become a super villain and try to kill you." When they were in the lab and they say that, like, what if it's almost like a, "Hey, but now that I don't remember who you are, my reality's changing."
Yeah, but he's not his best friend anymore.
And I also think that line was
when.
Well, yes, it was comedy based off of what they said before. When he says, "Yes, he died in my arms." I'm saying, what if?
I know, but I think the line is also kind of there to be like hinting at Hobgoblin, but they're not. I don't think they're going to do it. Like, I don't think this Ned
throwing
Leeds
a reference in.
Yeah,
but he's not Peter's best friend anymore. While Harry was Peter's best friend before he tried to kill him, like that was a whole part of it.
Killed his father.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, well, what if they said it? Like, what if that was just thrown in there because in the back of their minds, that was something that's a possibility later.
I don't know. I just don't think this Ned Leeds could work as the Hobgoblin.
Yeah, it doesn't
really
work.
He is Hobgoblin in the comics. He's like the kind of, Green Goblin counterpart. He's very similar. There's some guy that finds like Osborn's like secret lair and like takes a bunch of his equipment.
He's the first Hobgoblin. There's been many.
But like I don't see this character working as that. Like he's just kind of a goofy kid. Like he's not.
Yeah,
there's nothing sinister about him.
But
it'd be kind of a funny shift, I guess, in my mind. That'd be interesting to see.
I think it'd be cool to see a Hobgoblin, but
yeah.
I don't think it'd be Ned Leeds
because he's gonna know he's magic. He's not gonna know Peter. He's not gonna know that he was best friends with Spider-Man. So like in my mind, what's stopping that from shifting now that he got erased? I mean, because we don't know what's gonna happen. Like we don't know what's gonna happen with everyone forgetting who he was. I mean, people's realities are going to change. They're going to branch off now and be different.
See.
Well, I think, although you got to think about it too, like, it's really only 4 people that know him. I mean, of course, the Avengers characters, but like, it's MJ, Aunt May, which she's dead, Happy, and then Ned. And so, just 3 of the characters still alive, and Happy. Obviously,
there'd be more though.
Not really. I mean, I guess Flash, but like.
Well, think about it this way, because what was the spell? Everyone
still knows Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like everybody found out Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but that wasn't integral to like. They're just like, oh, this is crazy. Like this guy went to high school with.
Here's what I'm thinking though too, is what was the spell? Everyone in the world's gonna forget who you are. So what about Nick Fury, who's off planet, and Thor the Asgardians? Like all these people that are off planet, they still might know.
The thing is though, Nick Fury doesn't really have any reaction with because if you remember Far From Home. It's not Nick Fury. It's a Skrull, and like so, and also like, I don't think with the other Avengers characters he plays that integral part as Peter Parker to them to be super changed by the reality that Peter Parker.
Well, no, but they would still know that.
I think they still know, like they would know Spider-Man, but I think
they know
a lot
Spider-Man,
of
them,
not
who Peter Parker
exactly.
Is.
You don't think ever Thor and Peter Parker had never once?
Sure,
like,
his
name's
Parker
Peter.
Is it or
but it doesn't change his life. Like he's not.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to change his life. I'm just saying they still would know that he's Spider-Man then.
But it doesn't.
Which could change something later.
No, because if they knew who Peter Parker was Spider-Man, they forgot because that's the spell.
The spell was everyone in the world. They weren't on the world.
The world can be anything.
They didn't say universe.
They don't have to say universe, I don't think.
You have to realize that was a multiversal
spell.
Multiversal.
Yeah.
So they're meaning everybody in that universe.
Yeah.
He said that spell.
That's my intent.
That spell borders on the what is it? On the edge of
the known and unknown
the
of
known
realities.
and dark, or whatever. So I'm thinking that is a everyone kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, because they never specified, so it's all speculation. But
everyone who knows,
I think it'd be kind of cool if they took it back that way.
The next question becomes: would they still have like the data records that might have been kept about Peter Parker being Spider-Man?
Well, see, and that's what we talked about yesterday.
Eliminated.
Well,
because
when he puts the box down for when he's moving in, he's got a GED book, so like he has to go back to high school or not go back.
He never passed because he doesn't exist.
So
anymore.
like
that's right.
he needs to get like an actual identity now. Like he's not. He doesn't
isn't
exist.
a thing anymore.
Yeah,
because that reveals it. Like that didn't happen.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So all the
take everything out.
All the physical stuff, like at the high school when they had that huge shrine up for him, like that.
Like
it's gone.
Peter doesn't exist.
True.
Everything that says that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is gone.
Yep.
Everything else is the same.
So anything
it's just Peter Parker is gone. Spider-Man's still there. So Peter Parker doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yep.
But
I think we should probably wrap it up though, because
I gotta go home.
I have to start my stream up in 15 minutes. So we have to flip this entire thing in 15 minutes now. So I think we should probably call it.